Continue now at the top of Daf Mem Amid Beis Meseches Sukkah. This is Sukkah Daf 40b. Gemara here is continuing to analyze Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Rabbi Yossi says as follows: Mar be'aniyas hakvusa. When it comes to taking Peiros Shvius, I say that with Peiros Shvius, you're allowed to do kavusa, you're allowed to do laundry. Why? Sheshava b'chol adam. Because that's something that everybody does, and it's dumya da'achila. It's similar to eating in that sense. Just like you're allowed to eat Peiros Shvius, you're also allowed to do kavusa. Umotzias hamalugma, but I exclude malugma, meaning I exclude refuah, using it for remedies. She'ena shava l'chol adam. That's a use that's not shava l'chol adam, as Rashi over here says. Mar b'aniyas hakvusa sheshava b'chol adam. Sha'kol tzurichin la. Everybody needs to do the laundry. Kemo achila sheshava b'chol adam. Just like eating, everybody needs to eat. So those are things that are included in the word liachla. And again, as we were saying on the previous Talmud, that would therefore exclude from the dinim of Peiros Shvius things that are not shava b'chol adam, according to Rabbi Yossi. If you have some kind of item that's only used for something that's not shava b'chol adam, there would be no din of Peiros Shvius on that kind of item. And when you have Peiros Shvius, you can't use it for needs that are not shava b'chol adam. Meaning malugma, she'ena shava b'chol adam. Let's say you want to take Peiros Shvius and use them for malugma purposes. That's no good because it's not shava b'chol adam, she'ena kol cholim, because not everybody is sick. And the Gemara continues, Man tana lahad tanu rabbanon. Who is the author of the following brisa? The brisa says la'achla. It says you use Peiros Shvius la'achla, to eat, velo lemalugma, not for the purpose of remedies, la'achla, to eat, velo leziluf, not for ziluf, as Rashi over here says, velo lezalif yayin shemizalfin b'bayis l'reich tov. They used to sprinkle wine throughout the floor of the house in order to create a good smell, so you're not allowed to use it for that purpose. And also, la'achla, you have to use it to eat it. V'lo la'asos mimena apiktoizen, not to make apiktoizen, as Rashi over here says, apiktoizen lahaki. It means you're using it in order to vomit. V'hu ben nutrikon apiktfei zin, mazon ha'ochel yoser midai motzi umeke. It means a person's going to use it. Let's say a person ate too much, so he needs to vomit. And the idea over there is similar, that you're using it basically as a remedy in order to induce vomiting if that is needed. So again, that's considered something that's not shava l'chol adam, and therefore that's not going to be permitted with Peiros Shvius. Who does this brisa follow? Keman Rabbi Yossi. That follows Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is the one that excludes these kinds of hanos that are not shava l'chol adam. The Rabbanon, because if this brisa followed the Rabbanon, ha'ikon mishro kvusa, they exclude other things as well. They say you can't use it for soaking for flax. They say you can't use it for laundry, because again, they exclude any kind of benefit where the benefit is happening after the actual consumption, the actual destruction of the fruit. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rebbe Elazar says, Ein shvius mischaleles ela derech mekach. When it comes to Peiros Shvius, they only lose their kedusha through sale. In other words, if you sell the fruits, the kedusha will go from the fruits onto the money. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, bein derech mekach, bein derech chilul. They can transfer the kedusha either through a sale, or it could just be through chilul, meaning you simply pronounce that you're transferring the kedusha. As Rashi over here says, Ein shvius mischaleles litvos dameha b'kedushasa, that the kedusha goes onto the money, ela derech mekach. It only works through a sale. Shemochra zeh lechaver. In other words, you're selling the peiros to one's friend. But it's not going to work through chilul, meaning according to Rebbe Elazar, it's not going to work through chilul, where you simply say the kedusha of these peiros is going on to money. That's something that you do by other kind of hektish. According to Rebbe Elazar, you're not allowed to do that when it comes to Peiros Shvius. Rabbi Yochanan says you can do it either way. When it comes to Peiros Shvius, you can do it with chilul as well. And so the Gemara says, my time with Rebbe Elazar. What's the reason of Rebbe Elazar that he limits it to a situation of mekach? Because the pasuk says, "B'shnas hayovel hazos v'gomer," talks about yovel. V'samach le v'chisim kru mimkar, and right next to you have psukim talking about a sale. So we understand that when it comes to the Shemitah year, the yovel year as well, that kind of kedusha, it's going to only be through a sale. Derech mekach v'lo derech chilul. You're only going to transfer the kedusha through a sale and not through chilul. Rabbi Yochanan, my time, and according to Rabbi Yochanan, what's his reason? Why does he say it works in any case? Because the pasuk says, "Ki yovel hi kodesh." It says yovel is kodesh. Ma kodesh bein derech mekach bein derech chilul. Just like when it comes to hektish, like we just said it before in Rashi, it can work through mekach or through chilul. Af shvius bein derech mekach bein derech chilul. So too, when it comes to shvius, when it comes to the Peiros Shvius, that kedusha can be transferred, whether it's derech mekach, whether it's derech chilul. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Yochanan, now according to Rabbi Yochanan, Hai kisimkru memkar mayavidle. What does he do with the pasuk of kisimkru memkar? Again, that's the pasuk that Rabbi Elazar uses to say that only by a sale you can transfer the kedusha. What does Rabbi Yochanan do with that pasuk? He uses it for the teaching of Rabbi Chanina. Tanya, as we learned in a brayso, Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina says, Bo re'ei kama kosha avoka shel shvius v'chulu. Says, come and see how difficult it is, even a hint of the sin of shvius. Now, this brayso is much more lengthy in Meseches Erchin, we're bringing an abbreviated kind. The idea over here is Adam nosei v'nosim v'peiros shvius. Let's say a person does business with the fruits of shvius, that's going to lead to all other kinds of bad things. L'sof mochres metaltalav es kelev. In the end, he's going to end up selling his metaltalin and his vessels. He's going to end up having to sell things. He's going to be poor. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, v'shnas hayovel hazos tashuvu ishal achuzaso. Talks again about Yovel. And then what's right near it? Talks about doing a sale. So we darshan, according to Rabbi Yochanan, we darshan that if you do the sin, you commit the sin, or even a hint of the sin of shvius, it's going to lead to this kind of poverty. And the Gemara continues for Rabbi Lazar. Now, according to Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yochanan, what does he do with the pasuk of Rabbi Yochanan of Kodesh? So he uses it for the following brisa. The brisa says, Ki Yovel he Kodesh. It says Yovel is Kodesh. Ma Kodesh, just like when it comes to Hekdesh, Tofes as Damav. Just a simple idea that the Kedusha can go on to the money. There can be an exchange of the Kedusha to money. Av Shvius, so too when it comes to Peiros Shvius, Tofes as Damel. The Kedusha can go on to money. That's what Rabbi Lazar learns. But he doesn't go so far as Rabbi Yochanan as to say that the Kedusha can be transferred in any way, whether it be by sale or through Chilul. That Rabbi Lazar doesn't say. Rabbi Lazar says it only happens through a Mekach. And the Gemara continues, Tanya Kavasid Rabbi Lazar, Tanya Kavasid Rabbi Yochanan. We have a brisa that supports Rabbi Lazar, and we have a brisa that supports Rabbi Yochanan. Tanya Kavasid Rabbi Lazar, we have a brisa that supports Rabbi Lazar as follows: Shvius Tofeses as Damel. It says that again, Shvius, the Kedusha can be transferred to the money. Shenemar, like it says, Ki Yovel hi Kodesh Yalachem. It says Yovel is Kodesh. Ma Kodesh Tofes as Damav, just like Hekdesh can be Tofes Damim. V'yasar, and it's prohibited. Af Shvius Tofes as Dameh v'yasur. So when it comes to Shemitah, that Kedusha can be transferred and can create an Isser. So the Gemara says, Ima Kodesh Tofes Dameh v'yotze l'chulin. If when it comes to Kodesh, the value, the Kedusha can go onto the money, and it goes out l'chulin. Af Shvius Tofesas as Dameh v'yotzes l'chulin. So maybe by Shemitah year as well, there'll be a transfer of Kedusha, but the original fruits, they're going to become chulin. Talmud Lomer, the pasuk says, no, Tiyah b'havoyasa tehei. It says the word Tiyah, that means they stay with their original Kedusha. HaKetzad, how so? How does this transfer work? Lokach b'peiros shvius basar. Let's say you have a situation where you use peiros shvius to buy meat. Eilu ve'eilu misbarim b'shvius. Both of them have to have the laws of biur of shvius, of destruction of shvius. They have to be used in accordance with the laws of shvius. Lokach bebasar dagim. Let's say a person takes that meat and he buys fish. So yatsa basar v'nichnasu dagim. So then already the basar will leave their kedusha and the fish will come instead. Lokach bedagim yayin. If you take that fish and you use that to purchase wine, yatsu dagim v'nichnas yayin. The fish is going to leave its kedusha and its wine will have the kedusha. Lokach beyayin shemen. If he buys with the wine oil, yatsu yayin v'nichnas shemen. Again, the wine is going to leave its kedusha and instead you'll have the shemen. HaKetzad. So how does it work? Achron nichnas b'shvius. The last one is going to have the kedusha shvius, meaning the last one of the transfer. Upriatzmo aser, but the fruit itself always will remain aser. And so now the Gemara infers from the brisa support for Rabbi Lazar, minikatani lokach, from the fact that every single example in this brisa has to do with the sale, meaning it seems like the kedusha is transferring how? Through a sale. So alma derech mekachin derech chilalo. You see that how does the kedusha transfer? It's only through a sale. It's not through chilo. That's a support for Rabbi Lazar's position. The Gemara continues, Tanya Kavasi de Rabbi Yochanan. We have a brisa that supports Rabbi Yochanan. Echad Shvius v'echad Meiser Sheni. Whether we're talking about fruits of Shvius, whether we're talking about fruits of Meiser Sheni, Mischalin al behema chayav off. You're able to redeem that kedusha onto animals or birds. Bein chayin, bein shchutin, whether the animals are alive or not alive, whether they're shechted. Divrei Rabbi Meir. That's Rabbi Meir's opinion. Rashi over here says Mischalin mashma derech hilal. This is the support for Rabbi Yochanan. It's mashma. It's just derech hilal. You basically take the item and say, I'm taking the kedusha and putting it onto here. Bepedia, it's just through regular redemption. V'lo b'mekach u'memkar, and not through sale. So you see a support for Rabbi Yochanan. In any case, Rabbi Meir says that kedusha can go onto the animals whether they're alive or not. The Chachamim say no. Al shchut and mischalin. If the animal was already shechted, it's not alive. So then you could be mischalin. You could put the kedusha onto there. Al chayin ein mischalin. But on live animals, that's a problem. Why gezeira shama yigdol mehen adarim? There's a gezeira, there's a decree. Maybe the person is going to raise flocks with these animals. Now the kedusha is going to go onto the entire flock. You're going to have all kinds of problems. As Rashi over here says, Shema Yigdal Mehem Yisham Etzlo. What he's going to do is he's going to keep these live animals by him, Legadol Vlodus, in order to have animals, to have babies. V'nim Samasha Masrosav. What he's really going to be doing is delaying and keeping his meiser, not doing with it what he's supposed to be doing with it. V'atorah Amra Shana Shana V'yachalta. Pasuk says every year you have to take care of your meiser. Vimshar rishono shnia. Now, if you neglect to take care of your meiser obligations in the first and second year, chaya b'shlishis, then on the third year you're going to have an obligation. Levar kol masrosa b'sof shana shlishis. You're going to have to get rid of all your meiser, do what you need to do with it at the end of the third year. Min habayis from the house, ulisvados, and you're going to have to do the vidoy. You have to do the confession that you took care of all your obligations with meiser. So that's why we have a problem that you're going to do it with live animals. You're going to delay. You're going to keep it in the house. You might not end up doing what you need to do in terms of your obligations of meiser or your obligations of shvius. V'gabe shvius nena mehen lisasher. Similarly, by shvius, that was talking about meiser sheni before, and by shvius also you're going to get benefit. You're going to try to become wealthy. V'atorah amra v'lo l'schora ala lahafker levar b'shvius. Like we said before, you're not supposed to do business with peiros shvius. You're just supposed to use it. Either make it hefker, or you have to consume it that very year. You have that time period until it runs out in the field for the animals. That's the time that you need to use up this Shemitah produce. So again, that's going to be the problem if you redeem the Kedusha onto live animals. And the Gemara continues on Rava. Rava says, Machlokas, this entire Machlokas over here about animals is only in a particular situation, which we will discuss in the next video on Daf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph.